Hello guys, welcome back to CODEIN. So guys, I hope you all are doing safe and having a lovely time. So do take care of yourself. So continuing with the C++ series, today I am going to understand you about constructor, destructors and how do we work with constructor and destructors, how we initialize the value, what is the need of constructor, why do we use destructors and what is the basic purpose of both these things. And we are also going to know the types of constructors and how do we are going to use it and how we are going to implement it. So guys, if you are new to my channel, please do like it, share it and also subscribe to my channel. I have already posted content on C language, C++, Python, HTML, Java, CSS and some very important videos and also some motivational videos which will really help you understand the thing and also implement the thing. And this is the new series, that is the C++ series. Everything you can get me in my playlist and you can understand each and everything very clearly. And also if you're new to my channel, so do click on the bell notification so that you get all the desired notification at the time I post a new video. And also you can follow me on my Instagram page, the link is in the bio. And let's understand each and everything, the constructor, destructors, without wasting any time, and let's get started. So the very first thing, that is what is constructor. So whenever I'm talking about a constructor, it is also a member function of the class. So whenever I'm talking about a member function, it is like whenever we define a function like say get to get the data, show to show the data. Similarly, constructor is also a member function of the class. Basically the purpose of a constructor is to initialize the values to whatever the objects of that particular class type is. Suppose say whatever variables that I have defined, whatever objects I am going to use, just I am going to do what is defining and initializing the value of that particular class. So whenever I am talking about a constructor, constructor name will be same as the name of the class name. So whenever I am going to define a constructor, it will look similar to the name of the class name. As you can see on the screen also. So here you can see that I have written first of all class, then the class name, and then I have defined that I will be using a variable over here. Then after that, what you can see, I have in the public type I have written class name and then a braces over there, that is the round braces. So basically whenever I'm going to use a round braces, that is called as a member function. So basically what does it means, that whenever I want to define a constructor, it will be same as the name of the class name and it will handle a round braces, that is called as a member function. So whenever I am going to define a constructor, we most probably use it under a specifier, that is public. Because whenever we are going to use this as a public, so what is the main benefit of defining it as public? So that we can access it outside the main function also. So that is the reason why we define it as public. Now we come to the different types of constructor that are available in C++. Number one, that is parameterized constructor. Number two, that is default constructor. Number three, copy constructor. Now the normal type of constructor that you are using, that is called as a default constructor. Second type of parameterized constructor is something in which we will pass the values the same way that we pass in a function. Like whenever we call a function, we pass some values, that is called as a parameterized constructor. The third type of constructor, that is the copy constructor. The copy constructor will be create a copy of that particular constructor. I'm going to explain you all these two, that is parameterized constructor and also the copy constructor, in my further videos. So for that, do subscribe to my channel and also follow each and everything that I am going to. Next thing that we need to understand is, before moving towards the example, that is what do we mean by destructors. Now when I am going to define a constructor, in this case I have also explained you that how we are going to define a destructor. Now as we talked about, that constructor comes with the same name as that of a class name. Similarly, the destructor also comes with the same name as a class name, but it involves a tilde sign. Now, what is the purpose of defining a constructor? Now, whenever we have created some objects, we also want to destroy them. Means to not to consume the memory. So what we do, we need to destroy them. So for destroying the objects that we have already created, so for that what we are going to use a destructor. So destructor will be same as the name of the class name. It will take no arguments and it will not show us anything, but it is just to destroy the objects, whatever the object we have created, so to free up the memory space. So this is the purpose of using a destructor. So whenever we are creating an object during constructor, resources are allocated to that particular place. So when we are going to open that file, we simply allocate that particular memory. So to deallocate and destroy that memory, what we are using the destructor. So let us understand with this help of an example how we are using a constructor and how we are using a destructor and how we need to actually implement this all in C++. So let's now move to the program. So now in this program, what we are going to do, we are going to perform the activity, that how we can define a constructor and how we can define a destructor. Like how does actually a constructor work? So here first of all you need to declare the necessary header files, which is really important for a program. Now what we are going to do, we are going to define a class. So here I am defining a class that is subject. So you can see the name of the class over here is subject. Now in this case I'm just going to define some variables, in which variables we are going to assign some value with the help of constructor also, and the other ways we are going to enter it from the user. So first of all I've written int sb number, that is basically the subject number. Then I've taken int roll number. Int roll number is the roll number of the student. Then I'm going to take another variable that is float marks. So here no specifier is mentioned, so this is by default private. Then I'm going to take a public specifier. Now the question comes in, why I'm taking a constructor in public specifier? Because whenever we are going to call the constructor, we will calling the constructor in the main function. So in the to call the constructor in the main function execute as the time the object is created. So for that what we are going to use, we are going to use into the public specifier. So here you can see the name of the constructor is subject, that was same as the name of the class name with round braces. Then I have given some values to all the three variables that I have defined, that is subject number, roll number and the marks. So these all three values are created. Now let me tell you one thing. So whenever the constructor is called, the constructor will be called as soon as we declare the object. Means whenever we have defined a default constructor, it will be invoked as soon as we have defined the object of that particular class. Now what I am going to use, I am going to take some values of this. So in this what I have used get value function, in which I am going to take the values of subject, then roll number, then marks. These things I am going to enter from the user. But in the subject that I have created above, that is the constructor, it will not take any values. It will just simply print me the values that whatever I have given to the subject number, roll number or marks. So it will be displayed to me. Now after that you can see I have entered the number. So you have to see in with the help of cin statement, SB number, roll number, marks. So this is the way through we are getting the input from the user. After that, whatever input I have taken from the user or whatever it is in the constructor, I want to print that. So for that I have taken a function that is void show. So you know how to print all the content. You just need to write whatever you want to write in the double quotes, so to print it. Then I'm going to use that cout statement and I have to write SB number endl. So what is the endl manipulator? Let me tell you again. It is used to move to the new line. Similarly, we will be writing for roll number and similarly we will writing for the marks. So this way what will happen, it will display me all the data whatever I have entered over here. So this is the way we have defined some public member function within the class. So this is the way we define a class. Now I hope you are understanding that how do we define a class. But if you are not clear that how do we define a class, you can watch my previous video in which I have told you everything about how do we define a class, what are different kinds of specifier. Now we are going to the main function. In the main function what we are doing, we are just making over here a object. So as soon as I make the object over here, as I written s1, so what it has done, it has automatically invoked the constructor, because the default constructor is invoked as soon as I define the object. After that what you can see I have just called the show function. Why I have called the show function? Because I want to display the result whichever was value was initialized to the variables and whatever things are into this variable. So for that what I have used over here, just s1 dot show. So when I'm going to run this code, so what you can see in the output, the numbers that I have defined in the constructor are visible to me here. Now what if I want to enter the content from the user? So for in that case what I will use, I will not access the default constructor. So here you can see it is the default constructor which is automatic invoked. Now what I am going to use, I am going to call that function. When I am going to call this get value function, in that case the constructor will not work. It will take the values from the user and that particular value will be printed whenever I am going to execute s1.show. So it will ask me the value. So I have given some values over here, the subject number, data, whatever you want to give, the roll number, and then the desired marks. So it is your choice whatever marks you want to give. So now you can see the changes are made according to that. That is shown to me. So this is the way through which we define a constructor. How does a default constructor work and how does a function work? So this is the basic way. All you need to remember is default constructor is invoked as soon as we create an object, and the name of the constructor is same as the class name. Now next thing, that is a destructor. For the destructor we are going to use a tilde sign and then the name of the class. So name of the class here is subject. Now it is not necessary that you can need to define only one class. You can define multiple classes like nested classes and use that thing into that. It is not necessary you need to define only one single constructor. You can define as many constructors that you want. So we are using this constructor and we are going to run this code. So you can see whenever I'm going to run this code, so the invocation is done. Now what is when I will get to know that the constructor destructor is invoked, you can see in the output the destructor is invoked over here. So this is the way which we are using constructors and destructors. So guys, I hope you must be clear about how do we define constructor, what do we mean by a default constructor, what is the purpose of using a destructor. Basically, destructor is destroying the object and constructor is used to initialize the object. Why we are we initializing the object with the help of constructors? Because we know we cannot initialize a value in the classes with directly because it does not allow us to directly initialize the value. So that's why we are using constructors. So guys, I hope you must be clear about constructor and destructor. We are going to discuss about parameterized constructor, copy constructor in my next video. So guys, stay tuned and also subscribe to my channel. Please do like it, share it, and thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely time and keep smiling.